Hey guys, I wanted to come on here and do a week 8 and 9 pregnancy update. The funny thing is the exact same thing happened with Abram's pregnancy, where I did vlogs all the way up until week 7 and then for some reason skipped and started combining them. So I don't know if that's gonna continue to happen this time or if it's just because this has been kind of a crazy week. So I'm inside instead of outside, and there's like an unmade bed behind me, and I'm trying to like not get glare on my glasses, so I apologize if it's kind of a crappy video. But so for week 8, if you didn't see, we had our 8-week ultrasound, and thankfully all 3 babies are doing great. All 3 have their own sacs, their own yolk sacs, and they all 3 had a heartbeat in the 160s to 170s. We did get to hear baby A's heartbeat and baby B's heartbeat, but baby C is like the furthest back and the deepest in my uterus, and I have a retroverted uterus, so it's really far back there. And on that note, during the ultrasound, he was pretty aggressive with that wand to like get baby C to see the heartbeat and everything. And at one point he even like put his hand on top of my stomach and my uterus and was like pressing down, and I was just sitting there like in pain, telling him like, ow, ow, ow. But of course he speaks Spanish, so he'd stop and look at me and I'm like, ow. And he would keep going, like he'd keep doing it. And so he's not a bad guy. He's not a bad doctor, but there's some definite like miscommunication there, and it was really painful, like that part of it, trying to see baby C. So then if you saw in my 8-week ultrasound video, we went out to eat, we went to the park, we came home, and I took a nap, and as soon as I sat up for my nap, I felt like a warm gush, and I was like, oh crap. So I went to the bathroom, and sure enough, I was spotting, but it's hard to explain. It wasn't red blood, it wasn't brown blood, it was clear liquid, like very watery clear liquid with a tint of reddish orange to it. It was very bizarre. It wasn't bloody, but it had like a pinky orange clearish fluid, which of course freaks you out, you know, like he's pressing on those sacs pretty hard. So I went ahead and took it easy the rest of the day, and had no more spotting, none of that. And then I laid down to bed, and soon after I lay down, like hours later, I felt another gush just laying there, and I was like, oh my gosh. But this one was huge. The first one I would say was probably like a teaspoon. You know, it still feels like a lot, but it was maybe a teaspoon. The second one I would say was like a 1/3 cup. Like if you had a measuring cup, it was like a 1/3 cup. It was a lot of fluid. Like that's what it felt like. So, and again, it was clear and it was orangey pink. It was so bizarre. No dark red blood, nothing like that. So that happened. I mean, it was enough that it went through my underwear, through my pajama pants, and a little bit onto the bed. Very scary. And the unfortunate thing is the doctors here don't speak English, so I can't just call somebody and be like, what's going on? You know, I wasn't in any pain. I wasn't cramping. And there was no like tissue or anything. Again, it was just like clear. So then the next day after that happened, I had quite a bit of old blood come out, like dark brown, like almost looked black, like dark brown, kind of like, it looks like coffee grounds on the toilet paper. And that lasted the whole day. And then since then I've had nothing. So yeah, I'm a little scared. It was kind of a rough week because of that. I'm obviously scared. Like, I'm scared something happened. I'm scared he pressed so hard that he like ruptured baby C's embryonic fluid or whatever you call it. But I'm just trying to relax and not stress out too much about it. I am going to get an ultrasound as soon as I get back. And on that note, I'm just going to say it in here. I am going to make a separate video at some, maybe I'm not. No, I'm just going to say it on here. Okay, so I've had a lot of people ask, are we going back to the States, or are we delivering the triplets here? We are going back to the States. We just do not feel comfortable delivering triplets in this country in any way, shape, or form. With the NICUs and just not being able to understand the language, it's not worth it. It's too scary. So we are heading back to the US. We are actually leaving tomorrow. So we've known this for about 2 weeks, but we really wanted to make sure, like, it's triplets, they're sticking around, you know. And it's just, we don't understand it. We don't understand why we came all the way here only to turn around and leave 4 months later. But, you know, we really believe that God knew this the whole time. Like, he knew we were going to get triplets. Holy cow. He knew this was going to happen. It's no surprise. And we have to believe there's a reason and a plan for everything that's happened. And, you know, had we not come here to Ecuador, we would have never gotten triplets or these specific 3 babies, you know. So we are heading back to the US. Beyond the delivery and all of that, we are going to need all the hands and help and family and resources, and to be able to communicate with our doctors in English. So it's just where life's taken us. It's not at all where we thought we would be with triplets or going back to the US only 4 months after being here, but that's life. So yeah, spotting this week, packing, messiness, and going back to the US. The other thing is I've been weighing myself each week just to see like kind of my starting point and what I've gained and things like that. I'm actually starting this pregnancy right at about 10 pounds lighter than I was when I got pregnant with Abram. And as of today, at 9 weeks pregnant, I have gained 1 pound. I had lost a couple in the beginning, but I finally gained those back, and I'm officially 1 pound over my pre-pregnancy weight at 9 weeks with triplets. I think at this point with Abram, I had already gained like 5 pounds. I was eating like crazy, and I was not sick with him, you know, like I'm sick. I'm not, and that's the thing, like I'm not puking. I want to puke a lot, and I've even thought about making myself puke, but I'm too scared because when I puke, it comes out my nose. Like I'm a violent puker, and I haven't puked in probably like 8 years. Like I never puke. So like I never get sick like in that way, you know? So I'm not actually getting sick. It's more just, and on that note, let's talk about sickness. You know, somebody asked me yesterday, they're like, is it getting better or are you just getting used to it? And I have to say, I think it's getting better. I think this sickness is getting better. Like right now, I feel fine. It's not in the mornings for me. It's almost always right around lunch. After I eat lunch is the worst. The worst time of day is like 1 o'clock. Like right after I eat lunch, food feels so gross in my stomach. I feel like I'm gonna puke. I have that hungover, just like so gross. I wanna lay down. And so I nap. And then for some reason, I always feel worse after I nap. So I feel really gross from about 1 o'clock until about probably 5 o'clock, and even going into dinner, I'm like, I don't want to eat. But once I eat dinner, I feel fine, like fine. So it's really those set of hours. It's really just right in the middle of the day, which is bizarre. I've never really heard of that. I've heard of like all day sickness, morning sickness, night sickness. Mine at first was all day. It was horrible. I remember just waking up and feeling dizzy and horrible, and I don't feel bad when I wake up anymore. It's just right in the middle of the day. So I think it's getting better. I do. I think I'm probably about 40 to 50% better like than I was as far as sickness goes. I still definitely have a bump, guys. Like there's definitely a baby bump, and I even think I can feel my uterus. Like when you're pregnant with a singleton, your uterus doesn't even pop over your pelvic bone until about 12 weeks. And I think I can feel the top of my uterus, or like I think I can feel it kind of like over my pelvic bone already. And on that note too, I did buy a book called Twins, Triplets, and Quads, which I'm probably going to talk a lot about in other vlogs, like just the advice and just crazy things in there. But one of the things it said if you're pregnant with triplets, your uterus is 10 weeks ahead of where you're actually at. I don't know if I think that's true, because if that was true, my uterus would be the size of a 19-week pregnancy, in which case my uterus would be all the way up to my belly button almost, because at 20 weeks your uterus is all the way up to your like navel. Maybe it is and I just can't feel it, because again, my uterus is retroverted, so it takes it quite a while to like pop out to where you can actually feel it. I can't quite remember when with Abram's pregnancy. It was around 20 weeks when I finally could like feel it, you know, like on the outside of my body. So maybe it is. But yeah, that book says if you're pregnant with triplets, your uterus is 10 weeks ahead of where you're at. So at 9 weeks, I supposedly have a uterus about the size of a 19-week singleton pregnancy. Yeah, but definitely still have a bump. I can't wait till it like, because I feel like, of course, I'm in that phase of like, is she chubby? Like, you know, I feel like I'm in that phase, and I'm very eager to get to that point where it's like, okay, she's pregnant. Like she's pregnant, you know. With Abram, that was probably, I think it was at 18 to 20 weeks when I don't think I looked quite chubby anymore. And 18 to 20 weeks was the first time anybody ever asked me if I was pregnant. Like, when are you due? So I don't know, guys. I have contacted a doctor, or I'm trying to today. I'm trying to make an appointment and get in as soon as possible because we've only seen our fertility specialist and his ultrasound machine is cruddy. Like if you've seen my pictures or even the scans, like I've seen other people's 8-week ultrasounds and it is detailed. You can see the little arm buds or leg buds. It's very like detailed and crisp. Ours is like a big blobby blur. Like his ultrasound machine is not great. So I can't wait to get a real one and like really see these babies. So I'm gonna get in as soon as possible to a doctor because there's a lot of stuff with triplets. There's a lot of like things you can do preventative early on to help ensure a long like pregnancy and, you know, not going into preterm labor. So, and I'll talk about all that stuff later once I kind of like talk to a doctor and know if I'm even approved for some of these procedures that might help me get there. But anyway, that's kind of what's on my mind right now, like really just wanting to get into a like maternal fetal medicine doctor and specialist and all of that as soon as possible. But yeah, I'm still having triplets and I'm 9 weeks pregnant. Isn't that crazy? Like I think this pregnancy is going by so fast. Like I remember at 9 weeks with Abram, it felt like it just took forever to get there and that I had forever to go. And I feel like I've gotten there so quick this time and I don't feel like I have that long to go. You know, I have 25 more weeks at the most probably. 25 more weeks and I'll meet these babies, like less than 6 months. It's crazy. So anyway, that's week 8 and week 9. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Go ahead and subscribe if you aren't already. That's how you're gonna get updates on the Sorensen trio and Abram and just like where we're at in life and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you guys for following and I will talk to you later. Bye. All right. Guys, look at that bump. There is for sure a bump. And I haven't even eaten today. You should see it at night. It's crazy. Yeah, it's definitely starting to pop out at 9 weeks. That's insane to me. Like just insane. It's gonna get a lot bigger.